Supervisor Howard, Junior, and Uncle Fred.
Would you bow your heads, please, this morning, our Heavenly Father? Thank you for all the blessings that you've given us. Heavenly Father, we pray that you will continue to bless us and protect us. Heavenly Father, we're praying for the ones that are standing abroad for our freedom. Heavenly Father, we pray that you would be with them and be with their families while they're away. Heavenly Father, now we pray for your wisdom and your guidance in doing the business of this county. Heavenly Father, we pray for leaders on a national level, on a state level, and on a local level. These and all other blessings we ask in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor. Yes, sir. First on the agenda is citizen comment section. We have any citizens that would like to make a comment. Would you please come forward? Seeing that we have none, I'd like to move forward with governmental consultants. Mr. Norris.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Norris.
Morning.
Morning.
Orlando try something. He's listening in.
Okay, he's listening.
Yeah. I just if we need to get him on the phone, we can.
I really, I came because of, I think Mr. Orlando, he had some projects he wanted to talk about or something like that, and I really didn't know. And that's,
Yes. At the last meeting, I was instructed to get Mr. Norris to come to this meeting to talk about financing some new projects and what was available.
and I'm here at your service. Answer any questions that I can.
Would you then move forward to talk about possible financing for projects within Octagon County? And I'm thinking these are road projects, I believe.
Yes, sir. I would think believe that's the case.
Yes.
Now, I didn't know what your timing would be, or how large your projects. I've done a little back of the envelope projections here, provided that everything is in place as it was last year, and you could do 10 million this year if you wanted to. And if you, this is back of the envelope, I need to update records and make sure the millages is, everything's still in place as it was last year. You need to get the updated assessments, and we'll work through anyway to get that. And really, if you grew at 1% a year on average, over the next 8 or 9 years, you could do $25 million.
How much?
25.
25 million.
25 million. 1% per year. Now, when you get into issuing bonds, I don't want to make any assumptions, no growth assumptions when we issue bonds, and see how that works out. But in planning what we can do and trying to develop a capital plan, and if we have a historical average of X percent, and 1.5 is pretty much what I see consistently throughout most of the state, then that would be possible. But I feel comfortable with 10 million now.
And that's go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And that's without, any tax increase, are you talking about servicing within the funding that we have now
Well,
in the county?
Right, now, it would require a little tax increase.
Last time we talked, it looked like we still had to go up like 2 mils.
Right, it's gonna be about a 2 million, because this is what we talked about before.
It's the 2 mils for the 25, for the 25 million or the 10 million?
That's for the 25 million. Now, you're gonna have to have some for the 10 million also. About a million,
Yeah.
maybe 2 million to get everything really going. Now, if we brought everything into the capital, into the bond and interest fund, we'd have some millage rolling off that we could catch. And that may be one thing that I need to work with Emily and work that out, because I think that would really make an impact on what you can do.
However, but until something rolls off, we're gonna have to put 2 mils on it to get any additional gas this time.
That's correct. Your existing debt service is level. I mean, it's pretty well level throughout the life of those 2 bonds that's out there that you got millage on forward. So, you're limited as to what you can do with that.
Isn't that what I was talking about the audit before? That we just had done?
Yeah.
Well, we just recently had an audit report, and that was part of the, that's part of what it was talking about, is how limited we are and what we.
Right.
And of course, I'll just publicly say again that during this time, I don't think we should raise taxes at all. I mean.
But I understand.
Yes, sir, and I know you do. I'm just saying that.
I'm here to help,
Yes, sir, I understand that.
But that's what we talked about before.
Our millage did grow by 18,000, a little over 18,000, about 18,500, I believe, this past year. If that's consistent, and can we, I know we had some downtime this year, but that has been consistent in the past.
Been consistent in the past where we have like a 4% increase overall. I don't remember, or is that what not what the mill value increases? What is it, man, like 2% or something like that? 2 to 4%?
Say it again.
What our millage rate's growing at.
Millage rate in net collection.
Yeah, and dollar figures, the value of our mill.
I think it's 139,000. I think it's I had
Yeah.
You mentioned something.
399,000.
Yeah, that's what it is now.
You mentioned something about at a minimum, if we continue to grow at 1%. So based on historical data, what have you found that the county has been growing percentage-wise?
4,
Been more than that.
yeah, 4 to 5 over,
It's been
yeah.
healthy, right?
Yeah. However, remember and we don't know what the pandemic's gonna show on us, what taxes are we gonna lose. That's a fear of mine with, right now, a big, retailer paid all of his real property taxes, but he didn't pay his personal property taxes. And that's the fear that we all are having now, is whether we're gonna collect on those personal property taxes.
I guess today we're just putting options out on the table that we'll have.
Right.
We're just trying to look at all options right now and trying to.
Did you bring paperwork?
Well, it's all back to the envelope. It's really just kind of what we had talked about last July, I believe it was. And going from there, had it in my hand.
We have directions on exactly what we were gonna ask him, or what we were gonna ask him today, so he's kinda here just to find out what y'all are wanting to do.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And it really, and I saw it as a continuation of last year, where we would have to go up some millage to do anything with any substance.
Well, we do think the internet sales will go up this year, and we should be getting additional funding for internet sales, because most people are shopping online. I guess that's one of the advantages of being in the situation that we are now. We expect to move funds from internet sales.
but what we would want to do if we were gonna consider internet sales in this, we would shift the millage that we're gonna replace with the internet sales. So if you were gonna say, I'm gonna take, my internet sales to pay this bond, we would figure out what millage number would be tied to that internet sales and reduce the millage in the road fund to put it over in the bond fund.
And dedicate that money so you don't raise your taxes.
Yeah.
You know, which would be an ultimate good decision if we decide to do that, where it's consumed right now in the general fund.
Yes.
That's in the road fund.
You're right, in the road fund,
Yeah.
right.
So right now, we have a capital improvement fund set up,
Yes, we
correct?
set that up.
That
Finally
we
set it
have
up
monies
last year.
that automatically goes into that fund.
Yes, any, debt service we pay, it's the road bond and the industrial park bonds up in that fund now. And we left the millage where it was, we didn't adjust the millage down to fund other things last year. That made it a little hard for budgeting.
Right.
And so it's gonna stay just like it is. But to get where we need to do something and make it advantageous to us, we still need to put 2 more mills in there.
And,
Well, I'm glad to know that you're fairly comfortable with at least 10,000, as long as we are growing at least by 1%
right.
a year.
And you don't need to put 2 mills on to do anything.
Not to do
Yeah.
that. So I think we don't have to
No.
kind of, yes, sir.
Whether we can reallocate that millage and, just
Shift it.
do that, like on the internet says, go through that process there. I know the road and bridge monies are kind of, that's the one you have locked in with the cities and all there, so it's, not, Emma and I need to work together to see if there's anything there, and allocation of funds or something, which I do in some cases with other counties.
I believe that,
Does he say that later on?
Yeah.
it might be the wishes of the board. I believe that, Mr. Norris, you, continue to communicate with, Ms. Emily and, see what the figures look like for the coming year.
And we'll work through all of that, see what impact that might have on millage, what growth, what we need to do, to think about what you need to do first, and then grow into this. I'm here to help.
Well, I would suggest that we have a work session, maybe with Ms. Emily and Mr. Norris and the board, and just look at all the options. We might decide to do all of it, some of it, or none of it. But at least we can discuss the options that's out there and look at the pool of money we've got to work with, along with what other big ticket items we got in the county that we're gonna have to address at some point. So, I'm not saying let's jump in and do anything, but I would like, I think it'd be beneficial if the board knew the options that we've got out there. I think it'd be good if we could just set a work session just to talk about it anyway.
That'd be good.
Is that's a motion for a work section? I'll second
Yeah.
that motion. I'll second that, motion by Supervisor Howard second by Supervisor Williams, that we have a work session to discuss the availability of funds, the service of funds.
And so would y'all like to have this work session?
I think we probably need to have the other supervisors so we know when is a good time for them too, do y'all think?
Well, yeah, first, what's a good time for?
Can we carry the motion through so we know
Yeah.
we are gonna have one then? Those in favor, will you? Okay. Motion carries 3-0.
What's your
Now,
schedule?
time, we're gonna talk to, wait till the other Supervisor Miller, wait till the other supervisors come in and we'll talk about time then.
Well, can we at least get his schedule so we'll know how to work around?
Well, I
Unless
will,
you can work with that.
I'll work for your schedule.
Okay.
I'll have Nick Shore here, he might.
We want to do it in February. I say, as soon as Orlando comes off quarantine. Okay, and Orlando did say in here, as always, I say pass a resolution of intent and let the public decide if the project are worthy to fund.
Yeah, motion for the pass of resolution of intent.
I kinda wanna have a work.
Work session will be really good.
Work session will be.
Be thinking about what you need, and what your immediate needs are, and then let's plan around that.
Okay.
Chapter planning is I know it works. It's a little painful getting started, but once you get it in place, and get the millage in place, you'll be able to do a lot of work. But you plan it, and then it.
And so what should we, before we have this work session, Mr. Norris, what should we have available and to go in it with, and it'd be beneficial to us, I mean?
Well, as quickly as possible, I need your current assessed values and what a net value, what a mill produces in the bond and interest fund, or the capital fund, which is the heart and soul of the thing.
Has anybody done a study on what's being projected with the pandemic though? You know, as far as the property taxes and things like that? I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about personal taxes and how that's gonna decrease. You know, so even if we are, you know, how this would affect us, I would be reluctant for us to do anything. First of all, I don't agree on anything that would be raising taxes. So, my personal self, during the pandemic. But has there been any, you know, study done to see what the projections is?
Nick, have you seen anything?
Not any specifics. There's some. It's really been regional, right? We've seen sales tax data that's been collected. We've collected sales tax data. The property tax side has been hard to put together because it's not openly reported statewide. It's got to be reported by information you can get from each county across the state. I haven't seen, only some information that maybe came out of the state economist's office that's been reported or so. There's not, to my knowledge, there's not an exact study laid out.
Well, and I just wonder if there's going to be any changes, you know, with less apartments being rented and things like that, if there were any waivers, you know what I'm saying, on things like that because of just what's happening, you know, especially in a community like ours, you know, which relates ultimately to taxes.
Sure, yeah.
You know, for that property owner, you know, in the future, so.
Yeah, right. The big concern is that if the national economy slows down a little bit, the first to go would be personal tax. The buildings are going to exist, and there's still real property tax there.
Sure.
The inventory moves out, personal property tax goes down. I think it's something that we can look at here in the county of where have your assessed values and property taxes gone from the past to the future. If there's any significant weaknesses that we can find or look at, and certainly incorporate that into the plan. You know.
Well, we've been very we're very grateful that we have grown even when we're not assessed, you know what I'm saying? We see that growth every year, or we've been seeing that's been a positive trend.
Yeah.
But I think right now, if this is a reality, you know, that we need to be very cautious moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm sure Mr. Lynn probably mentioned it, but I'm certainly going to mention it during the work session that all capital plans and models assume a zero growth factor, right? We try to, as best we can, avoid any sort of inclination that a project's going to come online that's been talked about for a while. We're going to bank off of that as going in to pay towards the project. It's what exists and how stable is that growth, and keep it at a zero growth.
Well, one thing you may want to think about, it starts with what are your needs. And if you think over a 5-year plan, what's going to be needed over the 5 years, you identify those goals, regardless of what they come out to do. Then you set priorities as to what needs to be done, where, when. It may be they all move to year 2, then year 2 moves to year 3. But you start, that's the foundation for your planning thing. Your revenue, your available revenue sources, how debt pays off. And, you know, we need to look at how we can incorporate all of the existing general obligation debt into the plan to capture the benefit of that roll-off. And work sessions is the heart and soul of getting this thing started.
Well, I just see a work session is mainly educating the board on what's available to us, and not just educating the board, but actually educating the public as to what options that this board has, what projects that we've identified. I can say one indicator I always watch is new construction. And new construction in our Chihuahua County has absolutely not slowed down 1 iota. So that's always a good sign. But I think we just, again, we're not talking about doing anything. We're talking about, first of all, educating ourselves as to what's out there and educating the public. And I think a work session would be a good thing to start to do that.
I would say that we've got to have identify our needs and prioritize and get a plan to know what we're going to do, when we're able to get to financing. This is what we want to do first. This is what we want to do second. And knowing that this debt will come off at this period, and then we can add some more. So we need to get a solid idea and a plan of what we are going to use it for. Not to just go borrow money and say, oh, I got this money now, so I'm going to start finding projects then. Let's have them projects first.
Keep us from flying by the seat of our pants.
Flying by the seat of our pants. And because we got it there now, we're going to begin to fight. We just go find stuff that's really we wouldn't do if we didn't have the money available. Because there are needs.
Yeah, I do think a workshop is good. This board has been very careful about increasing millage, and it's good that the millage that we do have has been kept on, and been able to do some with those funds rather than decreasing the ones that we already have on. So the workshop is going to be good. I think now if there's no further questions or statements or comments, I think our plans now is that Mr. Norris, you will communicate with Mrs. Garrett, and Mrs. Garrett will set the time for a workshop, and I believe Mrs. Garrett, you'll get back in touch with each board.
I will. Mr. Primer's ready to move it and get this workshop done.
I think we need a motion to acknowledge Mr. Norris' report.
So moved.
Been motioned by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller, that we acknowledge Mr. Norris' report. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norris.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Captain Watson, computer support agreement.
Yes, sir. This is a long-standing, thing that we've been doing at the sheriff's department. What I'm bringing before you now is agreements to handle the sheriff's department's managed services. Basically everything that we do at the sheriff's department on computers. We let this out a couple months ago. We got 2 responses back. We were able, I'm sure you're all familiar with Shamakli, the warden, and he's helped us for 25 years with our computer system. So with his guidance, we created a needs list in what we would expect in those managed services. Let that out so people would have an opportunity to send in some bids. We received 2. I presented that to the sheriff. At this time, he's recommending that we go with Hurd Computer Services. Y'all also, I think, familiar with Tim Hurd. His agreement is the better price and gives us a lower rate outside of the managed services in case we needed additional services. So we are recommending that the board accept that agreement and sign that contract with Hurd Computer Services.
Okay. Yeah, motion.
I move that we take the recommendation from our sheriff's department and move forward with Hurd.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Howard that we allow Hurd computer service to take care of that computer service. We have a second. Second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. That's a big difference in the price.
Significant, yes.
Mr. Pritchard, the program man, Harold, and Harry Grove.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Pritchard.
Previously, the board had authorized me to prepare a program document for a couple of bridges. Have those prepared. The first is for Harold Road. It's a total construction including engineering cost of $420,000. I've signatured it. It requires a board signature and the clerk.
And this is the bridge, right?
This is bridge. Harold Road Bridge.
I move that we authorize.
Is that Harold and Harry's Grove?
This is just Harold.
Harold, okay.
I move that we authorize our engineer to move forward programming Howard Bridge.
Motion by Supervisor Howard that we move forward with the program in Harold Bridge. Harold Road Bridge.
This is the program that's ready for signature.
Any
Okay.
questions? Any questions?
And this is all, this is all state allocated, bridge money, this is all,
This will essentially eat up your balance of LSBP funds. Okay, which is kind of rocked around a little bit, and I'll share some of that with you. But this will just about eat up the rest of, if not all, of your LSBP monies. Okay?
Okay.
That's Harold Bridge program.
We have a second. Second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
The next one I have for you is replacement of the Harris Road Bridge. And this is estimated total construction and engineering cost of $784,000. Also to be programmed as an LSBP project. As I mentioned to you, those funds are not available right now. But our state aid engineer, Mr. Harley James, has recommended that we go ahead and program it for such time as these funds may come available from whatever source that we'll have it on the shelf and ready to go.
does it sit dormant until the funds become available?
We go ahead and.
Or will the county be obligated once we approve this, even though Harry James says, go ahead and let it sit out there?
It will sit dormant. We will go ahead and prepare the plans. They'll approve the program. We'll do the plans. We'll do the estimate. It will sit on the shelf until such time as the funds are available. Worst case to the county is funds never come available. You got some engineering costs too, and I have to come back and say, I need a little money for engineering on this project.
but we're in no hurry to do that. We're perfectly okay to set them on the shelf.
Since it's already been recommended that we program Harris Road Bridge, what are the disadvantages for not programming it now?
It's a time delay. I mean, it's my understanding that what they're trying to do is look at some of these counties that are not spending their LSBP money. And Harry Lee would like at some point to reach in there and say, well, County X has not spent theirs, County Y has not spent theirs, County M is not using theirs. We're gonna put them back in the pool and reallocate them to counties that are already taking advantage of the money. So that's the idea, is to get them on the shelf, so if the money comes available, we can spend it. We have them ready.
So it's good to have it on the shelf and ready to go when the funds.
And quite honestly, Rob, I know you're with us in spirit or video, but I think it's the legislature's intent that they'd like to spend this money. They'd like to draw this LSPP money down.
Yes, and it's several reasons for that. The economy has had a slowdown. They're trying to get this money back into the economy. This money's been sitting in these accounts. Some of these have been sitting there for the last 6 months to a year, and they're just not being used. So that's part of his intent, is to get it back into the places that are needing these funds.
Well, and we've also understood from Harry Lee, when the counties go in and ask for additional funding for roads and bridges, there's been a question, well, you've got X amount of money sitting over here in LSBP that's not being spent. So we're making a concerted effort to spend those monies. And that's what this is about, is get y'all ready so if it comes around, that we'll have a bridge we can build. Let's just go ahead and get the environmental work done, the plans work, the survey work, everything, set of plans on the shelf, approved and ready to go. And that's your Harris Road Bridge.
I'm going to go with, authorize the engineer to go ahead and program Harris Road Bridge.
Motion by Supervisor Howard that we move forward with programming Harris Road Bridge. Any more questions? Second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Just a note, I met just this past week. In fact, Supervisor Howard asked me about a meeting with the road manager that we weren't able to make. Our district state aid engineer, Mark Whitney, is having a multitude of health issues. And he's been out for quite some time, and some of his work is backlogged. So Jerry Gilligan, who is actually the assistant state aid engineer, is taking over his project. Mr. Gilligan came to the county last week, and we rode every project in the county that we've got considered or working or in any status for state aid or LSBP.
And then Brooklyn and Marvell need to sign.
Okay, any other questions for me? Any other?
Yeah, can I pick up those plans yet for Wise Road?
John sent them to Emily.
Here they are, right there.
This is it?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah, those Supervisor Miller have not gone to state aid.
I understand that.
That's our status right now. As I explained, Mr. Gilligan, our assistant engineer, taking Mark's place, came down last week. He's got a few ideas about what to do and not to do on 4 House too. So there's necessarily going to be some changes in that. I haven't met with him.
Well, before we set the final, I wanted to look through myself.
Sure.
Thank you.
But that's kind of the status where we are right now.
Clyde,
Yes.
can you talk to them about the Top Road just a little bit, since we're trying to work on some funds here? Just make sure they understand what the budget is and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't bring a copy of it with me, but I appreciate you bringing it up, Rob. We spoke with Austin Barber last week about potential funding on Hot Top Road, and we revisited the estimate. Supervisor Williams had talked about some rails in a couple of places, some guardrails, a few things in there. So we have provided Austin an updated estimate of what, I think it was 10.14 miles of road rehabbing Hot Top, essentially from the university all the way down to Bluff Lake in there. And that last, Emily, do you remember what the number was, like 1.7 million or something like that? Something on that order for improvements on Hot Top.
That's the numbers I saw. That's about.
Is that about right, Rob? 1.7 and change, somewhere in there?
I think that's about right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all good news, and that's money that the county will not have to spend. So it's always good that we can get some funds to do some road work, and it doesn't cost the county any money. So, do we
Mr.
need-
President,
Yes, sir.
we are going to
Yes,
need, if
sir.
not,
I'll listen. You said you did.
approving the point after this money at a state level. I just wanted to remind you of that. I'm not suggesting that you have to do it today. I know that we two of our members that are missing, but I just want to just bring it up to the board that when we get ready and as this process moves forward, I'm going to need
I think you need to sign.
a vote on it.
Yeah, it's two.
Okay, is that in the form of a resolution? In the form
Yes,
of a
sir.
resolution?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Rollins.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for me? I would just say based on the governmental report this morning, if you remember years ago when we were talking bonds, I said, we can spend it fast as we can get it. Got a lot of need in the county, for sure. But if all of us can assist in any way in prioritizing or coming up with estimates for these projects that you want to look at, we're happy to do so.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would say something about, road construction. People, individuals are choosing to live in Octaville County. And I think it's got a lot to do with how we keep our infrastructure up and, how we keep our county. So we get individuals to live here, and that's increasing our tax base, and enabling us to do more work, in Octaville County. So, let's keep moving forward with, infrastructure improvement. Okay. Next on the agenda. Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson present on B.O.S. Road, bus turnaround. Well, we have some other additional bus turnarounds, so if it's okay, we will move those bus turnarounds down to the other three or four.
Is that the one that doesn't have anybody besides somebody that lives there at the school, bus terminal?
Bill's Road is one, everybody had called in, and said the road was in bad shape and wanted us to.
Oh, that's not private driveway.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did everyone see the so I'm putting your boxes up at the DG's opinions on how we proceed with it, and I'm just trying to make certain everyone has the procedure down, how we're supposed to approach it.
Well, I'm sorry, I hadn't gotten mine yet.
I did get I got an opportunity to read those findings, I believe from the Attorney General's office.
Yes, sir.
If
The
you could.
next thing is when we do our bus turnarounds, we can't actually build a road, we can't actually do anything like that, but we can maintain the road so long as it's requested from the school district. So kind of the first trigger for us sometimes is for the school district to, first of all, make certain that we know which ones are considered their bus turnarounds. And the secondary part of that is that we can't actually build a road, but we can maintain the road so long. And the part that kind of surprised me a little bit, it's in our discretion as to whether or not to do it, number one, but it's also in, it's actually if there's an expense involved in it, the school district could be required to actually pay for it, or we can pay for it. So it's not a situation where we're on the hook for everything all the time. We do have some discretion in that. Now, I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do. I'm just letting you know that the AG's opinion is that we can go in and maintain a road. We just can't build the road, and we can't go and actually create a road or anything like that, but we can throw some gravel on things and kind of maintain it.
Can I ask your opinion? When we discussed this before, Attorney Roberts, I just assumed that the school board was voting on this. You know, when something comes down to us, I assume that the school board knew it. And after we started discussing it, and I read the law where it says we can't go on private property and build bus pads and enhance driveways and personal property, I found out that the school board was not approving this. This is just coming from an individual that works for the school board. I mean, works for the school system. I think we should reach back out to the school board, would be my recommendation, and us all get on the same page about what the law is and what we're being asked to do. I certainly don't believe that when the law was written, it was to enhance private property so somebody could park a school bus at their home. I believe that it was there to allow, you know, us to work and make sure school buses could easily turn around if they needed to in a place.
I don't think anything hurts us to go ahead and do it and reach out to them. But we can depend on, and this is the AG said, basically made this point to us, if the superintendent or his designee tells us that these are the bus turnarounds, we can depend on that part. But I don't know that we're getting that information from a designee or anything, so I'm not real comfortable saying, hey, yes, we're getting this information, because I haven't seen it. I'm not trying to say that anybody's doing anything they shouldn't do. I just haven't seen the information to show that we're getting that from their designee.
Well, and I think sometimes the information comes in, we don't see the detailed information that's being requested. All we see is to approve it. But we don't know what the detailed request is, and that's my question is, are we in the legal boundaries to do what we're supposed to be doing as a board of supervisors? Because all we're approving it, and they're saying, well, you approved it, but we're not seeing the detailed information on what we're being asked to approve. So I would like for you to, if you don't mind, in the board, I'd like for us to have a discussion with the, you know, open up this discussion and have some type of discussion about it, if that's okay with the board members.
That's not a problem. I can take care of that.
The language is a little confusing, Attorney Robinson. The language in the Attorney General's findings is a little confusing because it didn't only say maintain, it says that within the board's discretion that it has the authority to grade. Well, grade. To gravel. With grade and the gravel. And or. It said and or maintain. So it didn't just say maintain, it said and or maintain.
In all honesty, I kind of consider what they're talking about as far as putting gravel down or putting some grading and everything. That's kind of the end of that maintaining process. One of the things that I want us to get sucked into is a 911 road that is really long. And I mean, if we want to accept the 911 road as a county road, there's a way for us to do that, and I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want us to go into a situation where that road's not given over to the county, and we're out there having to maintain it constantly and actually build it up. But I think I can knock this out in a couple of days and get with the superintendent of education and make sure we're just covering ourselves.
And maybe they want to contribute some funds too, maybe to
And I do agree with you, Supervisor Williams. Under that Attorney General 529, it says that supervisors can exercise its discretion. But if you read on down the page to section 19.3-42, it says it does not authorize a county to build or construct a private road or driveway to be used as a school bus turnaround, only to maintain one. However, if the statutory procedures are followed, a school bus driver's private driveway or shell driveway may be designed as a school bus turnaround and may be maintained by the county. So it's telling you not to do it, and then it's saying, well, maybe you can do it. So
yeah, a little confusing there.
Attorney Roberts, I guess is this board's discretion to enact put together whatever process we want to take when we start approaching these school bus turnaround. And I was just wondering, and I was thinking all the way back to school bus driver calls Mr. Gibson, I guess, hey, I'm having trouble, I'm getting stuck when I try to pick these kids up. Maybe then the process is Mr. Gibson and one of his designees go out and inspect this location they talking about. And then he makes recommendation. It goes to the school board, and then the school board sends it to us to remedy then it's our discussion, our discretion at that point. I guess then we need to know whether it's 911 road, whether it's off private drive, whatever. But I'm just thinking if we talking about this process, but I think there's probably a couple of things that need to take place before it actually hits the board. And I think a lot of things that's been kind of happening is individual might see me and, hey, I need a school bus turnaround, I park it, and we just come, so there's been a big gap in between what we do and how we do it.
I think you're exactly right. I think this is what's come down is we have a tendency to go to Walmart or Kroger, wherever we're at, and this bus, someone that happens to be a bus driver may say, hey, can y'all come out here and fix this? I'm having some problems. And what they're not understanding is that y'all have a procedure that you have to follow through. And so long as we get it kind of directly from the superintendent or his designee saying, hey, this is what we've asked, we can depend on that. What we can't depend on is it coming from outside of those parameters. So you nailed it. You're exactly right.
And I think the law says that they're all for 1 year, that they have to resubmit
Correct.
each year, the whole year, and that's what we're having some problem with, is that they will send something that says continue to maintain it. Well, the year's up, we need something more, a little more official why we're gonna continue to maintain it, because my understanding is they don't go down these drives and these roads unless it's elementary age kids. Well, some of these kids done grew up and graduated, I know, so we need to set our requirements along with
So
what we're gonna expect from the school.
So would you recommend this board meeting, us tabling these few, bus turnarounds until, it's only 2 weeks, but us tabling those, if y'all are okay with that, until you, talk to the school board and get our parameters worked out?
I think that would be a safer dynamic, especially considering we're not talking for 2 weeks. I think it's a lot safer because if we don't, we're basically digging ourselves into a problem and that we may not even be aware of. And I guess my job, I'm always going to fall on the side of keeping y'all protected as much as I can, and that's just a part of it. So I think it would be beneficial to this board.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'll go ahead and make that motion to table the school bus turnarounds on the agenda until we have proper protocol to the next meeting, if that's okay with you guys.
Motion by Supervisor Miller that we table the school board turnaround to the next meeting, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, vaccination process. Dr. Miller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I brought y'all some handouts because I know that y'all are getting bombarded with questions too. I know this will help y'all.
May I say something before we get started? Before she gets started, I just want to, I know we all know what a fantastic director we have, but to be out on the site and hear other people talk about what a great job that Ms. Campanella does, it just confirms what we have, y'all. There's a lot of places that don't have these plans in place, and we're not able to distribute like we are. And I just want to tell you that we all sitting around this table know, but I don't know that the citizens of Oktibbeha County truly know what we have. When you hear representatives from the Department of Health say a lot of people don't even know who their EMA directors are, and they don't have plans or procedures in place, and we are. I just want to, she's sitting right here at the end of the table, and I just want to tell you she's done a great job. I know we've worked with her through tornadoes and rainfalls and droughts and hurricanes and, I mean, everything that you can imagine, but to work with her through this too, she's just doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
And she does it all well.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And I wasn't here in the last board meeting, so thank you for letting me do it another year.
And she will take care of you just like she's your mom.
That's right.
Thank you. So, Ms. Williams asked me to come just to kind of give y'all a little update of where we are. So we started the COVID vaccination, or the Department of Health started the COVID vaccinations on January the 6th at their site. They were doing Wednesday and Friday out there. They've done around 200 appointments both of those days, but the site where we had it was so small. And due to the vaccines, you have to wait 15 minutes after you get your shot to make sure you don't have an immediate reaction. So the line was kind of backing up, and those days were just for healthcare. So we knew we needed to get a bigger site to accommodate once they started going up in the different levels. So the opportunity presented itself, of course, for the horse park. And thankfully we already had those partnerships already in place, so it was a very easy, quick transition. That Friday we decided to start it that next week. So last week we went from Wednesday to Friday at the horse park. This week they will do Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And to my understanding, that's going to be the way it is for a little while until they start opening up some of those other groups. I feel like once we get to maybe the public side of it, they'll probably add another day. They are doing operations Monday through Friday out at the horse park. Monday and Tuesday is for testing. Wednesday through Friday is for vaccination. That is a perfect spot, and we couldn't have done it without the horse park's help with all this. It is everything we need. I can call and like I need this, and somebody's out there giving it to me. So we're very fortunate to have those partnerships with the university and Ms. Miller out there.
So is that the only site?
That's the only site right now. I have heard that they're talking about maybe opening it up to some clinics, and I know the hospital. I'm sorry, that's not the only, but that's the only health site.
Okay.
The hospital is doing some as well, and they're getting their own shipments in. I think I saw where they were maybe doing 100 appointments a day on their days that they have scheduled, and they have a link on their website that you can go to register with the hospital for. And they're following the same groups. I know that y'all probably seen that graphic of the different levels where we are. So right now we're still in the 65 and older, or the 18 to 65, or 64, excuse me, 64, if they have underlying health conditions. And there's a list of those conditions that they're putting.
Can you tell them the process so they, I mean, it's really easy where you, if the board hasn't been out there, talk about how you get your appointment. Yes. And then the process once you get out there, how that works.
Yeah, so it's been very frustrating, I know, for a lot of people with the website, but you can imagine when you go from maybe 5,000 people a day looking at the website to 800,000 people trying to log on to the website. So the website had some problems last week, but the state has assured us that they're working on those issues, which they have, because it's improving than what it was last week. But they're constantly updating the website. So the website is covidvaccine.umc.edu, and that is for your vaccine. Now if you want testing, the testing is covidschedule.umc.edu. But once you go to the site, the first question, it goes through if you're one of these approved groups. Then you go through the questions that ask you if you're allergic to vaccines, if you ever had any issues, if you've had COVID. So you basically just answer yes or no questions. And then once you get to the end, it lets you pick a site. And the Mississippi Horse Park is the site that we have here. So once you click that, then it shows you all the time slots that are available. But right now they're not taking any first appointments anymore for January. You know, they stopped that last week because the vaccines that the state had was enough to cover the appointments that they had. So they are beginning to open some into February. I did see where I think over the weekend they opened some for the 25th, maybe 100 appointments, but they were gone within 2 hours. So I know it's frustrating when you look at the site because you'll see unavailable or it won't let you do it, but keep checking it because they're constantly updating. If they add appointments in or somebody cancels their appointment, you know, it'll show up on there. And there is an 800 number. It's 877-978-6453 if people don't have access to a computer. But I'm sorry to back up. So when you get through the computer portion of it, if you go that route, it will send you an email confirmation. There's a QR code. It tells you your appointment time and what the process is. The phone, I haven't dealt with the phone, so I'm sure, yes, they give you a confirmation number or something that you bring, but it's not a huge deal. A lot of people have been frustrated when they get to the site. I forgot my email. I didn't print out that QR code. They can look it up in the computer. It's not a huge deal. It's helpful if you bring it with you. It saves a little time, but if you don't have it, you know, they can look you up on the computer. So once you get to the site, the first point is that they make sure that you do have an appointment. And then once they find out that you do, you go to the second area where you pick up your paperwork. There's some handouts about the vaccine, what to expect. You tell them which arm you want it in, and then you go to the next spot, which is actually getting your vaccine. And they have those, the National Guard has been real helpful. They have those medics under the big tents waiting for you. Once you get your shot, you move around to a side parking lot and you wait for at least 15 minutes. And they have guards that are working that site also to tell you when it's time for you to leave.
You never get out of your car.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you pull up and the National Guard walks up to you and asks you, and the Mississippi Department of Health's right there, and then they print off your paperwork and you drive up to the next location, and they have 4 lines going through. But they give over 400 vaccines
Last
two
week they
days
had
last week.
410
Each
appointments
day.
on Wednesday, and I think it was 410 on Friday. And that's kind of been the average. They're looking to hopefully go up. I've heard them say maybe 600, and then possibly even 1,000. But of course, that's going to take more vaccines brought into the state and additional staffing. They'll have to have additional staffing because then people out there were working their butts off last week with 400 appointments. And then we had a lot of people that showed up that didn't have an appointment, that was trying to get into the line, so that made it kind of confusing.
Let me ask you something on the appointments. If I go in and there happen to be one open in Flowood or something, and I book an appointment, then later on, an appointment comes available out at the horse park. Does it allow me to book that one too?
At one time it did. So when you go on there, there's 18 sites. And you can go, any Mississippians can go to any of those 18 sites. Just because you live here, you don't have to go here. We had people from Ridgeland, from Madison, all areas last week. And because the horse park was the first available appointment. But last week you could make a second appointment and then go back and cancel the other one.
So it'll be up to me to go back and cancel.
And that's what we asked, if you did do that, to go back and cancel, or even if you can't come, to cancel the appointment. That way somebody else, you know, can take that slot. But I did see over the weekend, because I had tried just to see if it would let me do it, and I put the same information in for somebody that I had registered before to see if there was an earlier appointment. And when I got to the point to check the site, it told me that this patient's already registered.
Oh, okay.
So I think they've stopped that, which is good. So like I said, they're constantly updating the site. There's a lot more information on that front page than it was last week. So it's a work in progress. But all this handouts that I gave you kind of answers those questions. And the vaccine is free. I know we've had some calls about that. How much does it cost and all this? But the vaccine's free. Once you get done, you can register for B.O.S, which is an app. It's like a little doctor app that monitors your symptoms. So like randomly sends you a text, are you having any fever, this, and this. And I think it's helping them get all the data to try to understand this stuff too. But it also gives you a text message reminder to go ahead and book your second appointment when it's time. And then when you book that appointment, then it sends you a text reminder to say, hey, your appointment's Wednesday, you know, just like a doctor's office. But that app is B.O.S. But that's all in your handouts too. But now what we've been getting is the Moderna. I know some have asked that which one we've got. Last week they got the Moderna, but there was discussions last week that they may change and start getting the Pfizer. Which we hope that don't happen, because then it's kind of confusing. Because you're supposed to go wherever you got your first dose, so it kind of makes it confusing. But the Moderna is the same. I mean, the Moderna, you take it 28 days later after your first one. The Pfizer, you take it 21 days, the second shot, 21 days later.
I actually heard that in about 2 weeks, 2 new vaccines.
I did. I heard that over the weekend, and I think they're one shot. Johnson & Johnson and something else was a one shot, but I hadn't heard anything from the state that they're getting those yet. Last week, what I had got from them, that the state was getting around 17,000 doses a week. And I did see what Governor Reed said over the weekend that we were getting an additional 5,600 maybe, and some change additional to that. But like I said, this stuff changes every day. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 times a day we're getting different information or updates about all this stuff. But that's all I got. If you have any questions about anything.
Ms. Kristen, if I schedule, and I have an appointment scheduled for 10:30, how many individuals gonna have that appointment for 10:30, or someone 10:31?
They have appointments every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes.
And so, of course, it depends on how many vaccines that they start giving us. Last week it was 400 a day. So they scheduled anywhere from 15 to 20 appointments every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes. The hospital asked that we call them. Is that gonna be the continuing process for?
Yeah, I think the
registration at
hospital's still gonna
hospital?
get theirs. I think they had some issues last week, of course, with the governor opening up the additional groups.
Yeah.
It kind of limited how much they had on site, but they're working that side of it well, so.
But we still have to go through
You
the
have to
site
go
to
through
register
ACH,
them.
yeah. So if you want to come to the Department of Health site, which is out at the horse
Right.
park, you go to the COVID vaccine UMC EDU. If you want one at the hospital, which they're still going by the same groups, you have to go to register with them. And they have a link, I think, on their website.
Oh, okay.
You probably can call their help desk and too, and they can guide you through where to go.
Okay. There are many individuals, I've been trying to get some individuals registered online, and of course, every time I go online, they tell me that they don't
Nothing's
have a
available.
site that's open, no site that's open. But I think many individuals would probably be more comfortable with making a phone call to the number that was given here. Are they gonna work and do a better job of manning that
They
phone
are.
line so individuals can get through?
Yes, so they are. I think the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, they're assisting them with answering those calls. The last I saw with Director Michelle, he was saying the call takers were going to be quadrupled Friday to start helping answer those calls. Because I know a lot of older, they want to talk to somebody on the
they want to
phone.
talk to someone. They don't.
They may not have access to internet or have a smartphone.
I
So if you get a busy signal, just try that. It's frustrating.
I help as many as I can, but they'd rather
Right.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can make your second appointments. I made a second appointment last week for somebody, so you can go ahead and make your second appointments for the horse park. We did see that the ones that were tested last week are not available for their second appointment. You can't book it yet. It'll show unavailable. So I know they're probably still working out, because you still got 28 days after your shot. So I know the importance is getting those first aid appointments done first. But just be patient with the site. They're working on it. And I guess and don't take it out on the people that are at the site working. They work for the state, but they're getting their orders just like we all do. We had some that were frustrated last week with the people on site because they wanted to air out whatever issues they had. But those are our local people, that work these sites. So.
I've got a question about the follow-up shot. If you miss your 28 days, how long can you go
You can
without?
get it any time after the 28th day. You just
Okay,
can't get it
so-
before the 28th day.
So you don't have to
So-
start all the way back
No.
over again?
And you
Okay.
just have to wait at least the 28th day. If it's the Moderna, if it's the Pfizer, you have to wait 21 days.
Okay.
But any time after that, you can get your shot.
Yeah.
But and I know some have asked, why do I still have to wear my mask? Why do I still have to do all the social distancing if I had a vaccine? Because a lot of times when you get the flu, you think, okay, I'm good, I don't have to do all that. Well, what I've seen is that the first dose only covers you around 58%. So then even once you get your second dose is around 95%. So that's why they're still asking you to take those safety measures, still wear your mask. If you feel sick, stay home, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people think when they take it, they're good. They're not good. Not 100%. Nothing's 100%.
My mama got her, she's 80-something years
Good,
old,
good.
so she got her.
Good. I've heard a lot of elderly, the most I've seen that's asked about it or determined to get it is our older population, because, they're the ones that's suffering from it the most.
I want to commend too, again, just like the first day they were out there, it was sleeting. I don't know if y'all remember that morning, but it was sleeting and sleeting and raining. And the National Guard was standing out there with just those police pullovers that soaked up the water. And the lines were, it was busy, and the Department of Health standing out there, people had on snowsuits to make sure everybody got through and they never had to get out of their warm vehicles. So they all were working really, really, really hard. And of course she's coordinating all this, and it's just amazing. It's once you get out there how smoothly it flows. Really amazing. great job, everybody.
Thank you.
It was good that we opened up, shots for at the hospital.
Oh yeah, we're fortunate to have that place. This is the perfect spot. They drive through. The line got a little backed up last week because there were some issues with the printer, which you know there's always something. But the line got backed up. The large space that we have, we were able to loop the line the other direction so it didn't affect courthouse traffic. Yeah, it's a perfect spot.
And we are looking at like days like today and stuff moving forward. In February, there's no events inside the main arena. And you know, there's 3 roll-up doors on each end of the building. So the cars could actually just drive through the facility, and that would eliminate everybody from having to stand out in the weather that's working, and potential canceling of vaccination days. So we're looking at actually moving it inside the main arena for those days where they can just drive through.
They're looking forward to February. And from what I've been told, at least through March, possibly April, and then, you know, market changes all the time, but that's how far out they're at least trying to plan for to using the horse park right now, is at least through March and April. But, I mean, that could change. We start getting more doses.
Yeah, maybe with the new vaccines being approved.
We'll
Hopefully it'll be like B.O.S. after a while. You can just get them
anywhere. Yeah. And I have seen with CVS, I think, in Walgreens, once it gets to the public side of it, they may start allowing, like you can go get your flu shots there. So they may start allowing there. I think now the governor's push is just to get these elderly in our nursing home facilities and our health care done. So that's what the big push is right now.
I echo what Supervisor
Thank
Miller
you.
said.
I love hot dogs.
You do one.
I don't mind.
I don't even like heads not spending.
I would in Wisconsin.
I was getting ready to say, if you have any additional questions for Ms. Campanella, she sure will have an answer.
I'll get ready for it. If I can't get it, I'll call somebody. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for all that you do.
Thank you.
We have a motion to acknowledge, do we need to acknowledge that? Motion by Supervisor Miller to acknowledge, Kristen Campanella's report, second by Supervisor Howard, all in favor? Motion approved, 3-0. Move forward. Transfer clerk's business report.
I have one thing. We opened up our depository bids last week, and we only had 2 bids to come in. One was Bancorp South, the other is Citizens, and they both were at 0.15% for 2 years. So I asked that we stay with Citizens Bank since all of our funds are already there.
I move we grant the transfer clerk's request.
We also need to accept the other bid in case we've got any other office that's going there. If you don't mind, accept both of them, but the main depository stays with Citizens.
You amend that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put that amendment.
All right, I'll second it.
To accept both bids with Banco South and Citizen, but the funds will stay in Citizens account. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller. In addition to questions or statements. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. In addition.
That's all I have. Thank you.
County Business Administration.
I'd like to bring to y'all's attention that on those depository bids, we have now been receiving 2.81%, and it's dropping down to 0.15. So there goes one stream of revenue that we just lost. Payroll changes.
That payroll change, the one that's supposed to be assisting in shop B, what is his position? Is he a equipment operator or what, do you know? Doesn't say on here.
He's gonna be equipment operator.
He's equipment operator?
Yeah, he has class A, CDL.
That's what we already did.
Those are the originals that you signed. Did you sign those?
E911, that was kind of confusing whether or not the person is moving from a regular pay to part-time, or whether or not they're resigning. And
What's the initial of the last name?
it's check resignation. And also check, I don't know which one we voted on,
He resigned.
Okay.
part-time to resignation.
Yeah, he resigned.
He was full-time, he went part-time in the end of last year sometime, and now he's just resigned.
And now he's resigning, okay. Any additional questions about payroll changes? Not till we get a motion on payroll changes. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Howard, that we approve all payroll changes. The one,
Did you sign the payroll change?
I'm sorry.
July 19th.
Move forward. I'm holding you up.
Next thing I have is fire investigators appointments for 2021. We're gonna appoint Rick Sharp and Scott Hams. Need a order approving those appointments.
I move that we, authorize the appointment of, Rick Sharp and Scott Helms as fire investigator.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller, all in favor? Motion approved 3-0.
We can eliminate number 3, that's supposed to turn around. They did not bring me number 4 and 5, so we can eliminate those. Number 6 is the East Ontario Wastewater District right of way request, and I put those out in front of y'all this morning. And there's several of them. I don't know if y'all want to go through them, or if you just want to approve the request for the roads that they have recommended.
I think we're cutting these roads.
No, they're not cutting the roads, as far as I understand, they're going down the side of them.
Okay.
6 and 7? Talking about 6 and 7.
I'm talking about 6.
6, okay. We're gonna take them one at a time then. The motion on East Ontario Wastewater District request.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard to approve the East Ontario Wastewater Management District. Have a second, a question?
Just can you note in the minutes that these were given to us this morning, just so on both of these, so we just note in there that, yes, I'll second it with that note.
Second, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Second by Supervisor Miller.
With notation that we received it on the table this morning for review.
Next thing I have.
Do we, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Next is, and then vote on the Talking Warrior Water Association request.
So moved.
Second with the same notation.
Second with same notation.
Oh, that one, okay, sorry.
It might need to be noted, when you read that, it was noted that,
Oh, I saw
that it
that.
was a road board.
Yeah.
It was a road board. The engineering, our county engineer is willing to accept a road cut under his supervision. Under his guidelines. So, since it's a gravel road. So, friendly amendment to that motion. Roll cut
Under the
engineer
advisement.
guidelines and supervision.
Okay.
The road manager, is that what you said?
Engineer.
Or the county engineer?
Engineer, county engineer.
Okay.
Okay, any additional question about that one?
No. Do we note that, you will note that in the minutes, though, don't you, since that's not what's in the request?
Right.
Right, that it's gonna be a cut?
Note that in the minutes that it possibly could be a cut. It could be a cut under the engineering supervisions and guidelines.
Not a board, yes, I'll second it with the notation.
Okay. Second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Next thing I have is Pritchard Engineering dam inspection invoice in the amount of $1,450. Need an order to pay that.
I move we, pay the invoice for the dam inspection.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller, that we pay the invoice inspection, Pritchard Engineering. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Supervisor, Mr. President, back up to the one with the right of way for Talking Warrior. I thought the process was they contact the engineer and tell them what they want to do. Then he goes out and look and tell them what they need to do. Then he sends it to us for approval.
Right.
I guess what we did right then was we approved it, and now we're telling them to go to the engineer.
No, the engineer, we have the engineer's deal where the engineer approves that.
Oh, they've been to.
Yes, he's already approved it.
Okay, good deal.
Yes, and waiting on the board order.
Okay, all right, good deal.
What is the hauling permit?
That's when we were working up our, to redo our hauling permit. That was the work that Clyde had to put into it too. He's the one that drafted it. We had him draft it. So, the policy, so I need a board order to pay that.
I know what hauling permit is, I guess I didn't realize, okay.
What is the wish of the board on that hauling permit invoice for Mr. Pritchard?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Supervisor Howard on the hauling permit for Mr. Pritchard. Second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
And then now comes, we have budget amendments. Number 10 is budget amendment for elections for $8,675. That's reimbursement for election expenses through the CARES Act.
Motion by Supervisor Miller for approval. Second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Next one is sheriff grant reimbursement. That's the one that is over down our grant reimbursement. Need to amend his budget for that.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard for approval. Second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Next one, and number 12 is for sheriff's insurance rebate for damages. Maybe do a board order to put that money in his budget. Cover the cost.
Motion by Supervisor Miller. Second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Number 13 is a budget amendment for the sheriff's donated fund for $20,000. Need a board order to put that in there.
So
That
moved.
is money that they raise on their own, and they're using it to buy exercise equipment and everything for their new gymnasium.
The gymnasium,
In the gymnasium with
that's what we'll call it.
the RP, the RP.
Gym.
Yeah, I went out and looked, just before the finish. It'll be all right.
They've
Well,
done
in now.
a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And that's been all Lieutenant Gant and Sergeant Todd and a couple other volunteers down there.
And I know everybody loves the gun raffle. I know a lot of people can't get spots. I know I get them every year. I haven't gotten lucky yet, but, you know, I think that's a great idea.
They have made big improvement down there. I'm proud of them. A couple of them got some good exercise redoing the building, so, okay.
And how wonderful to raise that kind of money. I tell you, that's impressive. Raise $20,000. That's good. The sheriff's department.
Next one.
We didn't get a vote on that, I don't believe. That motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Number 14 is budget amendment for the road fund, for loan proceeds of $515,480 and, moving from one item to the next, to another item of $99,750.
So moved.
Is that for,
Yeah, the $515,000 is what we got, money to finance the trucks, and normally the bank would give it directly to the vendor, but Trustmark sends it through us, so I have to move money around. And then the $99,750, I think we added in that amount in road equipment, and I needed to move it up to cover the difference in the cost for road trucks.
You already made the motion.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Motion for, both transfers, $515,480 and the $99,750. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
The next one is we need to record the budget for the ARC water tower. We need to get into our books, so that's what that's about, to get the funding for it in our system.
Is that the water tower out?
Yes. And, let's see, TVA came and they originally gave us $350 and they raised it up to $625, so we got some additional funding that was given to us there, which is gonna be a big benefit with George.
Motion by Supervisor Miller for approval, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Now, one more thing from the church department, I got to close out, checklist for their flashlight and vest grant that they need the board to approve them finalizing it and closing it out. Need your signature right there.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Miller.
Flashlight and vest grant close out.
Second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Well, we can almost be done in an hour and a half, John. We heard.
Maybe we'll keep this trend going.
Okay, I'm through.
Moving down, county business supervisors. County business.
I just have two things. Garbage pickup. I had a lot of people that didn't get picked up last week, didn't get picked up again Monday. Where are we on that? Can we, like, a lot of that South Montgomery area, Sunnyland, none of them got picked up. Grand Oaks, none of them got picked up last week, and again didn't get picked up Monday. Anybody know what the?
Yeah, I did. I talked with Mary Ann.
Okay.
And one day it sleeted that we had that bad weather, so they decided not to send the trucks out.
Yeah, we were working outside in there.
Yeah, well, they decided not to send the trucks out, so that delayed them. Then I think she had about 4 drivers with COVID, dealing with COVID or something like that. But she did tell me yesterday that they got just about all of it. There was still some Monday's garbage on the ground to be picked up today, along with the new truck we bought. She said the brakes is gone out on one of them. The injector went out. These are brand new trucks, so I think they're gonna catch up.
Will they work through a weekend or later hours if
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to get caught up? I know there's garbage piled up. I see it all along the roads. people that have waited over a week, you know. So.
Yeah, and I actually, had a couple of calls from down on White Oak Drive and stuff, but I think they got all of that picked up,
Okay.
except for a little bit of Monday's route.
Okay.
There's, finishing it today and get caught up.
Okay.
That's the news I got.
The only other, I had a culvert request from Roy Oswald, and it could be in your area. I'm not sure how that's gapped up right there, whose it is, but down from the storage building, he wants access to his property right there on Courthouse Road. So I'm not sure if that's, I haven't looked at the map to see the way Courthouse Road does its sections, like, you know, you have a block, and then I have a block, and then you have a block before it actually goes on. So I'm not sure whose, but he said he was going to mark that. He asked, could we put a culvert in where he could access his property on Courthouse Road?
Is he building a house?
No, he just wanted to get it. No, he has a house on South Montgomery. He doesn't need to build a house.
Well, it seems like I had a site development thing. No one address come in for him.
There was a floodplain once when they were building that storage.
Okay, you did.
This is not the storage. He said it's down from the storage. He put some things up. So that's all I know about it.
That's on Poorhouse Road.
On Poorhouse Road. Has he come to you with a plan?
No, I mean, that's the 911 address thing, and I sent him the site development application, but he never did come do anything with mine. Now, yours neither. Okay.
And he finished the floodplain.
He did
before,
finish that.
yeah, on the first part.
Huh.
He didn't have to give me an address. He just texted and said, can I get access to my property down from the storage building? He said he's going to put stakes on the road. So I'm just presenting it to the board.
Your motion that we wait until he complete this.
I don't know if that's a big one.
No, if he's not gonna do anything, if he's not building anything there, that don't apply to me, that's something else, that's up to y'all.
He just wanted access. He
Yeah.
asked for a culvert.
Yeah, that's her.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Howard, that we provide a covenant on Poorhouse Road from Mr.
Roy Oswald.
Oswald. Okay, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
I don't have anything from District 3. Well, yeah, I do. Did you all go out and take a look at the guardrail?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We sure did. We have enough. We're gonna need some end pieces. Basically what we're gonna need. And a decision need to be made as whether or not those end pieces gonna go down to the ground, or whether or not they're gonna be a flat end piece that has warning signs in the front of them.
Our engineer, Mr. Pritchett, he
Right.
said he'll send one of his employees
Right.
to each bridge so he can spec it out for us and let us know exactly what we need to put.
But they do say that they're in good shape.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of,
In good shape.
that's all
I don't have anything but curfew. We want to extend the curfew and motion to Captain.
Sir. Motion to extend the curfew.
Yeah, do you?
Yes, sir, we would like to continue. It certainly helped us out, a lot, and we would like to continue if it's the board wishes.
Well, we missed it the last time, so could we get a motion to extend the curfew?
so moved.
For
Definitely.
definitely until otherwise no, yes, definitely.
So
Okay,
moved.
have a motion to extend the curfew indefinitely. Second by Supervisor, second by Supervisor Miller. Extend the curfew. And definitely doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be there forever. It just means when we vote on it again, we can change it.
I think as soon as, the COVID, that all gets under control, we need to put that responsibility, that'll be looked at again.
Yeah, we'll revisit that later date. Okay, all in favor? By extending the curfew, motion carries 3-0. I don't have anything that we want to, we want to set a meeting.
For Attorney Robinson has anything?
1.5 hours exactly.
You wanna check
That's
see if
good.
Attorney Robinson has
That's
anything?
good. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I am not gonna, bring anything up because this is a record for us, so I think that I'm
Thank you. We appreciate the work that Attorney Robinson is doing at the state level, and, he's trying to get some funding for us on a very, I think it's an important road need to be done. I don't know no other way for us to be able to pave Alcott Road unless we get some funding from the state or federal. That's 10.5 miles, so to speak. That's a long road. Thank you for what you're doing.
thank y'all for what you do.
Being adjourned until
Until next meeting.
the first Monday, hold on, let me see.
February 1st.
Yes. February 1st at 9 o'clock.
So we're
So moved. Second.
Supervisor Miller, we adjourn and meet, February 1st at 9 o'clock. All in favor?
All right.